Welcome back, Blood Bowl coaches. This is the Final Four. I'm Denny. This is also a little Denny, but this is my halfling hot pot. I wanted to make one more video, just make sure he gets a little cameo, right, DJ? We're gonna talk about the first round of the playoffs. Give a little bit of insight of how the games went, just a vague. I wasn't able to actually be there to watch. But through Discord, it has helped us to kind of get a feel for how the matches went. We're going to look at maybe some inducements for the next round. Again, try to give our predictions. But let's just jump right into it, and let's talk about how the first round went. A shocker for us in the first round. Top seed losing against the bottom seed. Rocky Mountain Marauders ended up beating Oak City Ghoulies. That was the only game that we predicted incorrect. Ended up being a 1-0 victory for the Rocky Mountain Marauders. Nice job, Eddie. He had a tough opponent he had to go against. But all these coaches are very good players, so any one of them at any point could win this. They're all at about the same skill level, and they're all just very good coaches. So. What happened in this round? The Rocky Mountain Marauders were able to squeak out a 1-0 victory. From what I gathered, Oak City Ghoulies took the ball in the first half. The weather was nice in this match. Weather was nice. Oak City Ghoulies had some extra fans show up. That's no surprise when you have a good season. You know, all your fair weather fans are ready to support you in the first round of the playoffs. So they thought this was going to be a skate by for the next round. They had a little bit of cash, the Oak City Ghoulies did. They were able to buy a part-time coach to kind of keep those players in line. You know, they're a little bit jumpy for the playoffs. And they had a Bloodweiser keg to keep the zombies hydrated, keep them pumped up to come back into the game after being knocked out. Oak City Ghoulies, again, took the ball in the first half, but the Rocky Mountain Marauders were able to stall them out and stall their drive, and it ended in a no score in the first half. In the second half, the Rocky Mountain Marauders were able to take the ball down the field in the final turns of the game, and they were able to secure that victory for a 1-0 victory. I think that losing Frank early for the Oak City Ghoulies was big, just because of that strength difference. He was casualtied. I think it was in the first few turns of the game. So that when you lose one of your key cement pieces on the field. It can really kind of turn things upside down, and your coach is going to have to think on the fly on his tactics. Some players got sent off for fouling, but these guys are just scrubs on the team. They're not very. They have a bench. Both teams had a bench. They were probably fouling a high priority targets. Both of them got caught. No big deal. But yeah, Rocky Mountain Marauders were winning 1-0, and that really was a shocker to me. In the next round, the one that we even predicted this would be an overtime win. The Canary Select, that's the Amazon team, versus Camelot Coconut Cloppers. That is an Imperial Nobility. Really tight match. It ended up 1-1 in the first half, or 1-1 in the end of the second half. Anky Panky was able to get a score from a bouncing ball. The Amazons had a hard time bouncing and picking the ball up, but it ended up luckily bouncing into one of probably the least agile players on the field. He ended up picking the ball up, needing a 6, which was enough for him to score in the final few turns to take it into overtime. Some dice went completely cold, unfortunately for the Cloppers, and some double skulls and failed loner rerolls, and the Amazons were able to capitalize and score in the third quarter, and were able to solidify their win. Really tight match. A lot of there were some injuries, but nothing seems too bad. Some missed next games. One of them was minus movement, but that's for the Coconut Cloppers, so not a big deal. But yeah, it was a really good match. The weather was, let's see, how was the weather in this game? I think think weather is underrated. Like, it could really make a big impact. The weather was nice. Both teams had decent amount of fans show up, but the Coconut Cloppers had a slightly bigger advantage in that, with 9 compared to the 8 of the Canary Select. Again, lots of inducement money for the Canary Select. They had, and I think this made a big role, having the ability to get a Strength 4 Mighty Blow block stand firm, and then another guy with block Mighty Blow Strength 5, that's a lot of muscle. I mean, that's a lot of muscle. And even with all that guard, it's hard to get through that sometimes, because you're going to need multiple players to just tie things up. And luckily, the Amazons were able to use their pieces correctly to their advantage. Again, they even scored a touchdown with Anky Panky. So he might have been the key to the game. The next match, Tar Hooves played Deep Freeze. Ended up with a 2-1 victory for Tar Hooves. Let's see what happened. Not as many casualties as I thought there was going to be. I figured that the Tar Hooves were just going to lay the hammer down on the Norse, but they did get 3 casualties. It didn't look like Deep Freeze didn't have a ton of inducements because they had to buy a bunch of people, so they were only able to get Cindy Pie Whistle. And again, I think weather played a factor in this, because if I remember correctly, some of the weather changed during the game, but I could be wrong. I know that Cindy Pie Whistle got kicked out in the first half when she was unable to be argued the call to get her back. It might have been a big... If you could get Cindy Pie Whistle back, she's really good. But fans really came out for Deep Freeze with 7 compared to 4 of the Tar Hooves. The Tar Hooves must not have good traveling fans, and maybe the Deep Freeze, they're used to traveling long distances from the frozen north. It was quite a bit. Oh yeah, the pouring rain did come in at some point. The weather did change, and again, if you're throwing bombs and passes, pouring rain makes it a little more difficult. Might have played a factor. I'm not really sure. But yeah, a couple casualties here and there, but nothing that seemed to really jump out at me. Again, it was hard for Norse. They had been struggling with injuries all season, so it didn't surprise me that they would kind of limp their way into the playoffs and then lose in this round. I just think that it was just the season was just rough for them, and they really did the best they could with all the injuries they had sustained throughout the league. Next up, Elves, an Elf matchup. Dark Elves and all the Madmen versus Mirkwood Marauders and Wood Elves. Let's see, how was the weather in this game? Very sunny. Again, another thing that can change how you throw passes, which might have hurt the Mirkwood Marauders because they love to throw, and they are one of the top teams in terms of offense and passing. So that -1 to passes could really make a big difference. Even though they're passing on a 2-up, you start getting into like short and long distance and not quick passes, they start getting really scary when you have a -1 to them. So the Mirkwood Marauders were given 150 in inducements. Oh no, they spent 150 in inducements. So they gave Madmen even more money. Ooh. So they took a keg and an apothecary. Interesting. Which was because the Madmen originally were going to have 150 in inducements. So I was telling him I was going to tell Green to just take a wizard. Because that's how much money he was going to get. But he ended up getting 310 because how it works is the coach with the higher amount can spend money. Whatever he spends adds on to whatever the other coach is going to get. So he gave him a lot of inducement money. So Roxana, I don't remember much about Roxana, but I think she's like Agility 1. So she's very good Frenzy Witch Elf. And then he took 2 coaches, so was able to have a little bit of a bench. Miss Thal, the War Dancer, got knocked out fairly early from what looks like a foul. And that was big because both the War Dancers were critical in that game. Miss Snow was the dirty player. I probably would have fired that one anyway and restarted. But the one you really wanted out was Fira. Yes, Fira was the one we wanted out. That was the one that would scare me the most. But ended up being a close match and in a 2-1 victory in the last few turns of the game. Looks like the Wood Elves got a couple players with some pretty lasting injuries. But again, this is the playoffs. You kind of sacrifice your players to try to go to the next round, regardless of what happens. But yeah, the Madmen ended up with a 2-1 victory. And it'll be interesting to see how they do in the next round. So, let's go back to the top and talk about this next round. You want to be in the camera? You're trying to raise it. Okay. Rocky Mountain Marauders versus Canary Select. Now, Nurgle versus Amazon. Should be a good game. 160, 150 in inducements. It's going to be interesting what you take. So, let's take a look at the roster first. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 players. And you're going to have some inducement money. It's got a nice team, block and guard, Jaguar blockers. These are the linchpin to this team. This is what really keeps this team, I would say, flexible. Can really assist the players to go against the bashy team, but it can also go against those higher agility teams and use that extra punch that they're able to deliver because of the strength 4 and guard. Wrestle tackle's nice, but it's not really going to come in handy in this match. But still a nice skill to have. Wrestle and dodge is always good. And hit and run, jump up, that's all. Jump up run works great. Combines well with wrestle because then you can just stand up for free or block from the ground on a 2+. He's got a few Blodgers and Rogers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got 5 players that you need to roll pals to knock down unless you have your tackle pieces. He's got nice skills all over the board. He's got a kick teammate, which he always takes a kick player. He likes it. Greg liked it from Skaven, and this is a good skill to have just as one of the guys that just sits back. When you play on defense, kick is a great skill. I recommend having at least one player with kick if you can get it without getting doubles. Frenzy is also a good one. It keeps players honest. Frenzy is another underrated skill that I think people don't pay attention enough to. Because now you've got to worry about where you place your players because that frenzy could get you knocked out of bounds. I got sure hands on random with block is now Giannis is now your offensive ball carrier. So great skills across the board. Not many. Team value is fairly low at 1260. Even with 13 players, 1260 is good. So on the other side of it, at 1425, Eddie's got quite a bit of. He's got pretty much he's got almost every player skilled up. He needs like one more player and then he would have everybody skilled. So he's really spread around distributed his team value well. He doesn't have anybody to level up this match, just like the Amazons. But he has good skills again. These are all standard, solid picks. Block and guard you can't go wrong with. He's got 2 tackle pieces, which is great. -1 movement, Pestigore, that sucks, but not enough to fire him. You keep him. And he's only got 1 more point left before he gets in block. Or Mighty Blow. Possibility, just depends. He does have a tackle Mighty Blow piece and Serpent Scar, which I think these 2 guys right here are going to be the keys to this game. Lightning Brow is like an elf in terms of picking the ball up. Sure hands and extra arms means he picks up on a 2+ with a reroll. But don't count him out for like picking up in traffic. You can think of that too on defense. So if the ball is like within a tackle zone or 2, you're still picking up with a fairly good chance. Even with a 4-up, like let's say you had 2 good guys, if you had 2 players tagging the ball, you're still picking up on a 4-up with a reroll. That's like a 75% chance of picking the ball up. So remember that on defense, to always use your skills, or just in general, use all your skills to your advantage. Instead of trying to burn rerolls, dodge with the dodge player first, or block with the block players first. Just, again, in sure hands, pick up the ball with the sure hands player, even on defense. But he has got a solid team. He's got a couple guard pieces, not a bunch. Guard's not going to come in big as much in this game because, again, the Amazons have defensive. But the Amazons aren't going to have a strength advantage either because they're going against a team with more strength than them. So they're going to have the Amazons have 2 players that are strength 4, whereas Nurgle has 4 players at strength 4 and 1 player at strength 5. So they've got a strength advantage. So it's going to be a little bit harder to push them around. But if you put your blockers in a good position to assist with guard, it'll make it a little bit easier. I think this is going to be a good match. I think Amazons should fire a player. I think that Pernippy should be fired. Niggling injury, you don't need her anyway. You've got a little bit of cash sitting around. Not a little bit, you've got a lot of cash. But why would you want to fire one of your players? Because now your inducement money goes up. Because you have extra money. You went from having 160 now to 210. That really opens up what star players you can get. So, because 160, the best you could get was Helmet Wolf. Now, if you're at 210, look what you can pick up. Estelle, Dribble, and Drool is probably the ones I would go for in this match because of the dirty player stab combo. You get a +2 to fouls with a sneaky get. As long as Dribble and Drool are like tag team together, touching the same player, that +2 dirty players nasty. And then sneaky get on top of it makes it great. Could go Anky Panky again, and that would kind of help you in the strength department. Boa Constrictor's not bad. Sidestep, Hypnotic Gaze on a 3-up. But, I don't know. Carla Von Kill's not another bad one. It's good to always have block and dodge, and Dauntless, Indomitable is kind of the same thing. But Dauntless on strength 4 could do good with that Beast and Nurgle, but again, I don't think that's good enough. I do think Dribble and Drool's the way to go. Because then you could just foul those key pieces, get them out early, just focus like on the Pestigors. If you can get those couple Pestigors out early, this team will really struggle. Because he's got only 3 Pestigors. If you can get those 3 guys out, that is the strength of the Nurgle team, or the weakness. Where they only have 3 guys who can pick the ball up on a 3-up. You get rid of them or take out a couple of them, man, they are in deep doo-doo. So that's what I do. Fire player. But what is my prediction through all this? Man, it's hard to pick. Again, both great coaches. Rocky Mountain Robbers, I think their team has a better overall roster against the Amazons. If the Amazons can get rid of some of those players and they can get the right star player to kind of help with their weakness, I can see either of these guys winning. But I'm gonna have to give it to. Dang, I could see this one going into overtime too. Greg likes to go into overtime. If it goes into overtime, I know Eddie likes to burn his rerolls. Greg tends to keep them. So if it goes into overtime, Greg wins. I think Rocky Mountain Robbers' overall team is way better, just in terms of advantages of how they've developed their team. He's got a lot of skills, whereas the Amazons only have a handful of skills. Dang, this is tough. Yeah, I'll give it to. This is a real tough one. As these games get towards the end, when there's less teams playing, it's just going to be that much harder to pick because they're all such good players, and now it's just making it harder and harder. I'll give it to Greg, as long as he takes those star players, I think, and he can foul and get the Pestigors out early. I think if you get the Pestigors out, Nurgle struggles. But I will give it to Greg. I think Greg's going to be in the championship game. On the other side, both these teams have played each other, so this is going to be interesting. I think the last time they played, Tar Hooves ended up winning 1-0, and I had picked all the Madmen to win. So I think, let's take a look and see the teams. I'm going to start with Okay, I'm going to start with the Tar Hooves. They've got a nice set of skills across the board. Gehrig, again, is just unstoppable. Mighty blow, tackle, block. He's a really good player. He's going to come in clutch again. I think all these Chaos chosen blockers are going to be big too because of the strength advantage they're going to show. 1 second. I'm going to have to pause. My Halfling Hot Pot, I think, is on fire. Okay, we're back. So, where was I? Oh, yeah. Strength 4 blockers are going to be big because, strength and throwing blocks. They have, he's just got a nice bench. He's got a Chaos Troll, which is not really going to do much in this game. I almost feel like you should fire him. But, that's up to you. Alright, I'll be back. Let's try to keep this Halfling Hot Pot distracted. Alright, so where were we? Yeah, we got some players that are Strength 4. Yeah. Is that you? Okay, he wants to get into everything. It's going to be one of these videos. So he's got a nice team. He's got 4 rerolls. Fire the troll. You don't need the troll. On the other side, all the madmen. He's got Sneaky Dirty. It's my favorite player. He's got a lot of block dodge. It's going to be hard to get through, but with tackle. He's got a good, solid team. He's gonna have some inducement money. 45 is not much. Kind of sucks because you can't really get much. Maybe a mascot or some coaches, so you don't really have much. I do think that this time around, the Tar Hooves have a solid, strong team. It might go into overtime, but I'm not sure. Get it. Come on. Diva. Yeah, I think that this is going to end up going to the Tar Hooves 2-1. Again, I think this could be a tight match, just like the other one. I think this could go into overtime. If it does go into overtime, the Tar Hooves have a ton of rerolls. As long as they don't get greedy and burn them. So, that's said and done. We're going to have to do this real quick. It's going to be Greg, the Canary Select, versus the Tar Hooves in the final round. That's going to be a tough game. I don't know what kind of injuries are going to happen. Good God, that's going to be a tough game, too. He's going to have some inducement money, depends what it is. Good, that's going to be tough. I'm going to only give this one to Greg because I know Greg's an experienced player, even though Gabe is a really good player. I'm just going off of that. That's my only... It's going to come down to skills and experience. They're both playing teams they're not used to playing, or they're new to, but they've done a really good job with it. So yeah, we're going to end up giving this to Greg, and he's going to be the champion in our predictions, and we'll see if we're right. Sorry, we got to go. Bye. Love you.